Well, hello, friends. I'm here right now on the phone with Mr. Michael Franti. How are you, Michael?
Well, my voice has been better. I'm a little bit sick, but my spirits are high, and I'm stoked to be headed your way.
That's great. Yes, you're going to be playing our American Music Festival actually on the beach on Saturday, September 2nd at the 5th Street stage. We're very excited to have you play on our Virginia beach. It's going to be great.
I can't think of anything better than to be playing music on the beach in the late summer, so it's going to be awesome.
Yes, and let me tell you, Virginia can really use your healing words and your healing music.
Yeah. Everywhere I've been traveling, we've been in the Midwest and now in Texas this week. I've been talking about what's been going on in Virginia and, specifically Charlottesville. And, I really believe that there's a time for us all when we're all called to stand up for love and to not just be standing up against things, but stand up in support of the things that we do really care about, like celebrating the diversity and equality of our nation. And sometimes in America we take that for granted, but having been somebody who has traveled around the world extensively, I see that we don't get it right 100% of the time, but we get it right enough of the time for us all to keep working at it every day and celebrating it every day. And so, that's the spirit in which we will be there.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I noticed that you just released a video discussing peaceful protest. Would you care to elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, well, it's just a 1-minute video that I just call out to people saying, like, look, if we're going to be opposing violence, then we have to be nonviolent. And the reason is that every action that we do these days in a protest, and a protest is just a form of communication. You can either communicate love, you can communicate hate, you can communicate whatever you want. So we have to be mindful of what it is that we're communicating. And if we, might feel good, like, oh God, I want to go up there and punch a Nazi or something like that. But you do that and it gets shown on TV over and over again, and it takes the conversation away from what we are talking about, which is equality for all people, and it turns the conversation just to violence, and that gets used against us. So we just have to be mindful of what it is we're communicating.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think our country is going to heal and going to be all right after all the next few years?
I think what's going to happen is our country is going to be more, is going to heal and be better than it ever has been. And what I mean by that is that people are being asked in this time to make decisions and support their decisions, like back their decisions up. Like, do you really stand for these ideals that we have in this country? And if so, then put your money where your mouth is and walk the talk. Absolutely. And I really honestly do believe that there are way more people who want peace. They want diversity. They know that they have neighbors from other parts from other cultures, or perhaps even from other countries that are living close by to them. And we all just want to live in peace and prosperity. And it's not that we are a nation that's filled with hatred and bigotry.
Absolutely, and I'll tell you, it's just it's great to hear you say these positive things, and you just kind of shifting over to your music. You've got this new album, Soul Rocker, and very excited to hear the new tunes live, and it's going to be fantastic. Wanted to ask you, where do you find your inspiration for your songs?
Well, the all come from my everyday experiences in life and my emotions, just like anybody. I go through ups and downs and extreme highs and lows, and just emotionally, and then so does our world. And there's not a day that I wake up when I these days where I'm like kind of like, God, I don't want to look at my phone. It's like just in the last couple weeks, like one day I wake up and there's a ban on transgender people in the military. Then we're going to go to nuclear war with North Korea. And then we're going to and then we've got this situation in Charlottesville and the responses to it. And then today I wake up and there's a hurricane headed our way in Houston, Texas.
Yeah.
It's like I don't even want to look at the news every day, but I am incredibly driven by optimism, and I believe that if you think good thoughts and you say good things and you do good actions, it's sort of like snowballs. And if you do negative things, it goes the other direction. And I see every day that there are millions of people in our country and billions of people around the world who believe that everyone on this person, every single person on the planet deserves to be happy, healthy, and equal. And that's a long way of saying that that's really what my songs are about. They're about getting through challenging times and finding that light and that hope and that optimism.
And so, how has your music changed over the years? I think in the beginning when you did some spoken word stuff, and and now I don't know, it just seems to have evolved to something different. How would you say it's changed?
Yeah. Well, when I first started, I felt like the best way to bring about change or to bring about at least some shedding of light on serious issues was to just be angry and to make angry, aggressive music. And I did when I was in my first, couple bands and just starting out. It was like a lot of really, I grew up in punk rock and in hip hop. But what I have learned since is that, my goal now is I want to bring people together. I want to be bringing families to music. I want to be bringing different people from different walks of life together, and the way to do that, I think, is through storytelling and tell the stories of life with a beat that people can dance to, and they respond to it, and music is like food in that way. It's like everybody, will gather around the table, have conversation. Music is the same way. People come to a show from different walks of life and experiences and are able to engage.
Yeah, it certainly is. Absolutely. And so who are some of your favorite bands or favorite artists that have inspired you or that continue to inspire you today?
I love the great storytellers. So for me, I love storytellers that can be like Marvin Gaye, Bob Marley, John Lennon, Johnny Cash, Run DMC, The Clash. Those are probably my go-to favorite artists that were able to do that, like tell an emotional journey through the song and then have you dancing all the while.
Oh, very cool, very cool. So, and I know I'm kind of cramming these questions in, and I appreciate you working with me on these as I flip through them. Wanted to ask you about plant-based lifestyle, vegan.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that you're very interested in.
Mm-hmm.
And why is that? What is it about plant-based diets that are so wonderful? And I agree with you, by the way.
Yeah, well, I think that the first thing is that eating more plants, and what we mean by plant-based diet is eating 80 to 90% whole plants, like not processed wheat, not obviously meats But making it that be 80 to 90% of that, and like I eat a small amount of fish, but the majority of what I eat are green vegetables, other plants. At home we make zucchini pasta on our spiralizer. We make great pasta sauces out of plants, and it's the most nutritious way of eating, but it's also good for the planet, because so much of the deforestation that we see in Brazil, for example, is to cut trees down to create grazing lands for cattle. Cattle are one of the leading contributors. Just the gas that cattle fart out is actually one of the leading contributors of methane, which leads to the greenhouse effect. So I have been vegan at times in my life, and I am somebody who's a non-judgmental eater. I don't tell other people what to eat. I don't tell people you should be vegan, or if you're wearing a leather belt, you're a bad person, or something like that. But what I do encourage people to do is, if we can get like the majority of Americans to take one day less of meat, like what we call meatless Mondays. It doesn't have to be Monday, but if you're eating one day, that would reduce our country's meat intake and cattle production by 17% or something like that. Whatever one out of 7 days percentages. Yeah. And that's a considerable amount less of methane that we produce over a year, considerable amount less of deforestation that would need to happen to sustain the cattle industry, and so it would also make people be healthier, and so I just encourage people to eat more plants. That's it. Yeah,
absolutely. And a shout out to Whole Foods for their Meatless Monday. They make it easy for us, don't they?
Nice.
Cool, man. Well, look, I just want to ask you one final question. And this is a question that I like to end with, and you can interpret it any way that you want and say anything that you want as a response. And that is, where do you find your happiness?
Well, I find my happiness when I connect with other people. I'm really driven every day to inspire people to come together, to have conversations, to share music, to share food. Every day before our shows, we do what we call a meetup, which is people bring their yoga mats, they bring their frisbees, their hula hoops, they bring some food to share, and we just kind of go and hang out. We bring a boombox out there, play some tunes, and people do some yoga, and then we break bread and have some food. And it's the best part of my day, is just seeing a group of strangers get together and hang out. So I'm happiest when I can help other people come together. And if there's one thing I would want to be written on my gravestone at the end of my life, it would be that I was useful. And
nice.
That's it. He was useful.
Nice. How can people find out about your meetups, pre-concert meetups?
So if you follow me on social media, either on Facebook or on Instagram or Twitter, we announce them usually at the start of the week, and then we announce them again every day.
Sweet.
Where they're going to be and when they're going to be. It's usually at 5:30 on the day of our shows, somewhere really close to the venue, like in a grass patch across the street or in a park close by.
Cool, man. I love that. I love that you're so accessible to your fans, and you're doing it for a good cause. And really appreciate your music and everything that you're putting out there. Looking forward to photographing you perform again. This time it'll be September 2nd at the American Music Festival on the 5th Street stage with another great band, Revolution. Really looking forward to it.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, thank you, sir, and have a great weekend, and I hope you feel much better.
Thank you, man.
All right.
Appreciate it, Dave.
Thank you. Take care, sir.
Cheers.
Bye.